What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is the city's, preparation results week 3. And always we have Wamball, which is right here. And then this week we have somebody else. If you just want to introduce yourself real quick.
I'm Mia Violet. I play in the Portland area, which is in Oregon. I've been playing for about 3 years.
Alright, there you go. And Mia, you got ninth place 2 years ago, right?
It was top 16. I think it was 11th
11.
at Worlds
Okay.
in 2014. Yeah.
But still, there you go. So, really good
You
player.
know.
You got your Worlds if I correct last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So really consistent player. All right. Well, I guess before we start talking about anything, did any of y'all go to cities last weekend?
Yes.
Yep.
How do we do?
I went to 2. Andrew?
I went to 1, and I played Mega Rayquaza and Expanded, and it was a pretty bad deck choice. I think I only played against one okay matchup all day. But anyhow, I went 3-1-1 in Swiss, and then in top 8, I played against Seismitoad Giratina, which is a really bad matchup. So,
Yeah.
then in top 4, I played against Seismitoad Giratina again. And
Wait, you just said it was a really bad matchup, but you beat him.
yeah,
Alright,
Hey.
did you play against it in finals too?
no, in my top 4 matchup, I don't think I even used Emerald Break a single time. I prized my Keldeo both games, and she was playing Rock Guard, so Jirachi was useless. It just died anytime I wanted to attack with it.
Poor
So-
Trashy.
And then Bunnelby kept dying too. I was going to try to deck her out. I almost got game 2 because she misplayed and used Sky Return for some reason, leaving just a Seismitoad on her field. So if I could have got the Emerald Break that turn, I could have won. But then I missed DCE or Floatstone to retreat my Hoopa. So then I missed that, and then I just sat there with the Hoopa active for like 6 turns and just waited
Yeah.
for my painful loss.
Did you lose to Sarah?
Yep.
There you go. All right. So, Mia, what happened to you?
Both my tournaments were expanded. My area doesn't do standard. I haven't touched standard since like Worlds. So Saturday I got top 8 at cities. I think I ended 302 because I ID'd round 4 and 5 because why not?
True.
And in top 8 I rounded up playing against it was a Vespiquen deck. Vespiquen who didn't write Sycamore on her deck list. Actually, sorry. She wrote 1 Sycamore, not 4. So she had 1 Sycamore in her deck, and like 2 N, and that was it. I ended up not drawing the supporter either game. The closest I got was top decking a Getsis after being N to 6 on like turn 6 or 7, and Getsising for 0. I was like, so I scooped. And in game 2, the same thing happened. Except I didn't get N. I just kind of started with like turn 5, I Getsis for 0, and was like, okay. So, kind of a disappointing run to lose to, I guess, dead drawing against a deck that's playing 3 supporters for draw, but I had fun. And Sunday I got top 4. I also ended up with a 302 record, though I only had 1 ID there. I tied against a Sableye Bunnelby Garb deck. In top 8, I played against my friend Oliver, who was playing Toadtina. Deck's really easy. Oh, should probably mention I'm playing Darkrai Dusknoir with Yveltal and Jirachi.
If you don't know Mia, she always plays Dusknoir. That's why she doesn't play standard.
Like,
She convinced her TOs just to expand it.
I
What
like
is-
Dusknoir.
Mia, did you convince the TOs just to do standard only? I mean, expanded only?
No, I was actually being like, hey, can we get some standard? And then it was announced that all the regionals would be expanded, so I was like, never mind. So everything's expanded. So I get to play Dusknoir for another year. It's like year 4 or 5, I don't know. Top 8, beat him without too much issue. Totina's kind of an auto win for my deck just because Jirachi and Dusknoir and all of that just kind of destroys Giratina. And in top 4, I also played against my other friend who was playing Totina. I think the top 4 decks that day were all Totina. Or I guess top 3, and then I was 4. And I lost that matchup. I prized Jirachi both games. Couldn't get going, but that's what happens.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I'll go over mine. I went to my first cities this weekend. Let's see. Saturday I played the Evital Zorak Gallade thing in Standard. Made it all the way to the finals and lost to Night March. Game 1 I started Evital X and we almost still won. Game 2 I didn't hit a DCE till like turn 6 where he's already taken like 4 prize cards. I don't know, the videos would be on YouTube. And then day 2 I make a weird switch and decide to play Wobbuffet Crobat. And literally for like 4 games straight I didn't play a supporter. Not like our cities are best 2 out of 3. And so when it's like 4 games I literally didn't play a supporter. Like round 2 and 3 I didn't play a supporter either of those games. So went 1-2 and then gave all my opponents my wins. So there you go. I didn't want to drop because
Dropping's boring.
yeah, dropping's boring. So I just gave my opponents the wins and then I ate pizza all day while recording videos. So bet those be up. All right, now let's see. Hey, Winnable, I guess the first question is, I know you're probably the only one who really knows this because you edit the stuff, but did we see any like shifts change in the meta? Like I still see like Evital Zorak is number 1 in Standard and stuff like that. Was there any like switches you think?
Well, Evital Zoroark really solidified itself as the number 1 deck, is kind of hanging out at the top last week, but week 2 is by far the best deck. And then there wasn't a whole lot changing, but Manectric EX with Crobat kind of came out of nowhere. I don't think it even had a single result during week 1. And in my overall ones, I have it as number 5 now. So it came all the way up from nothing to being one of the top 5 decks in Standard right now.
Mm.
And then in Expanded, Seismitoad Giratina had a big jump in play and had a lot more success. And Blastoise made a few jumps as well. And I think that's just a result of all the Vespiquen, since with Kyogre EX and Articuno, Blastoise can beat Vespiquen, and a good turn 1 can beat Toad Giratina as well.
Okay. Now, I know during regionals we saw like Hex Maniac being really played for beating the Blastoise decks. Do you think the Vespiquen players are just not playing Hex Maniac to beat them?
I know Michael Hopkins, who won our cities, he didn't play Hex Maniac in it, and a lot of the logic behind it is that you mainly play it to deal with Aegislash EX, and you have Flareon anyhow to deal with that, and so Blacksmith is kind of your Hex Maniac for dealing with Aegislash's ability.
Okay. Alright. Now, I guess I got a question for Mia, since, you talked about you played Jirachi. I know Winnable did too, but we'll let Mia have a turn. You talked about Jirachi and how it basically gives you an auto-win against Seismitoad Giratina. I know in Standard for sure, like, there's no real way to get around the Jirachi except for, like, escape ropes. But in Expanded, are they finding ways to beat the Jirachi, or is it still, like, really good?
So Jirachi's not an auto-win, it's just, I guess, it makes the matchup go to very, very uphill, because they don't do damage to you, and while they can still keep you item locked or stadium locked somehow, they're not doing damage, but you're burning all their energy. So they have a ticking clock, and they can only play 7 or 8 typically, and you can't recover them. So the only way around that is to get rid of the Jirachi, like you said, which escape rope is one way, Lysandre around it, which you need to do multiple times, possibly 3 against the EXs and stuff. And I think Andrew mentioned this before in his, but Rock Guard on a Toad kind of destroys Jirachi, because you can't take it off unless you Zero Sick it, and hitting a Zero Sick through item lock is very difficult to do. So if you attack it, you instantly die, but you can still get rid of their energy. And I guess to get around that, you could play I don't know. I can't think of anything else other than Lysander, Lysander, Rock Guard, and Escape Rope.
What do you think, Winnable? Anything else you think that could beat him and expanded for?
Yeah, I think the laser Burbank and just flipping heads on laser is hard to deal with against Toad. And I've been thinking about the Rock Guard thing quite a bit because I think it's going to catch on, at least in my local area, for all the Toad Tina players. And I've been thinking if I need something to deal with Toad Tina and I want to use Jirachi to deal with it, I'm going to play Chatot to remove the Rock Guard. And that removes all tools, so it'll remove like Keldia's float stones and any muscle bands they have on other stuff. So it'll be fairly disruptive to them in some other ways as well. And then I'd try to go into Chatot first and then use Jirachi after that. And once you remove the Rock Guard, Jirachi is very effective.
Oh, man.
Definitely. I forgot Chatot existed.
But now there's a whole loophole. What if, like, the Cypsto players catch on and they start playing Echo Arms in the deck, so as soon as you use Chatot to get back to Rock Guard, and then they knock out your Chatot? Oh my goodness, it's a whole thing that could happen.
If we can kill
Then-
their consistency, we can bring down their death.
And you just Tekken Leafeons. I don't know. Laser is a good, I guess, a good counter to Jirachi, or at least a hindrance. In my area, a lot of the Totina players are favoring Parallel City and Silent Lab over Laserbank. So the few lasers that have been there, I run Dark Eye Keldeo, so I don't care.
True.
Like Russian Retreat, even through item lock. But Verbank Laser is a very good option to get rid of Keldeo, Jirachi. So you can still Quaking Punch, you don't do damage, but they die going back into your turn unless they retreat it.
Okay, alright. Now, speaking of expanded right now, what do you think is, like, the BDIF? Like, right now, it's showing, like, Vespiquen and Cypsto, the difference is, like, what, 0.10%? I think it's, like, 19.41 and 19.31. I think Vespiquen just has one more top 4, and everything else is literally the same. It's 5 first, 4 seconds, and 7 top 4s, and 6 top 4s. But what do y'all think is, like, the BDIF in standard? I mean, yeah, expanded, sorry.
In my area, Totina, Vespiquen, and Speed Eviltol. Speed Eviltol being the one with Gallade and Archeops in the deck with Maxis, and on top of that, Assault Vest. So that deck kind of tears through a whole lot of stuff. It also doesn't play lasers, it plays Parallel City, which is really funny. So I think those are the 3, I guess, BDIFs in the format right now, at least in my area.
Yeah, I think Evital, even though it hasn't done too well so far, is probably the best deck. I've been working on quite a bit of different Evital variants and just trying to figure out which one's the best. But I think it's still that deck that gives you 50-50s across the board. And I think a lot of the reasons Evital hasn't done well so far is people just aren't playing it. Like in my area, I think there's only like 2 Evital players last weekend, and there's like a dad and some newer players. It wasn't like anyone established playing Evital. So I think if good players start picking up Evital again, it'll start climbing up the rankings.
Yeah, Evital's very good. You have Dark Patch, you have the Maxis engine, Battle Compressor, all that stuff. So, I don't know. I think Evital's very, very good too.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. I mean, right now it's like one of the best decks in standard. So I imagine just give it some time. And also, there's not that many expanded to standard tournaments. So I don't know if like all the like quote unquote good like Evital players that play it all the time are having a chance to play it and expand it to actually show it. So I don't know if that's a difference or not.
Yeah.
Now I do.
That
have
new Evital is really good.
Oh yeah.
I was just going to mention the new Evital is really good in that deck. Like, it ups your matchup against like Totina or some other stuff so significantly.
I don't even know what it does.
I don't have a copy to, I guess, point at the webcam, but Same basic stats as the other baby Evital from XY, but it has an ability called Fright Night, I think, that says when it's active, no tools in play have any effect. So they can rush in, but they can't retreat with their float stone. It turns off muscle bands, it turns off rock guard, all of that fun stuff. And its attack for a DCC does 60, and then 60 to a bench DX. So 120 damage, the same as Darkrai for a DCC. On a one prize thing, that shuts off tools.
Yeah, don't lie. You just like it because you play Dusknoir and you can just spread the damage.
I mean, to be fair, Dusknoir and that card are like the best friends ever. But it's still a really good card.
Oh yeah, it seems so cool
Like,
to shut
just
down all
even
that.
as a one of in a lot of Evital decks, just because it goes through safeguard and it just two shots Jirachi's Shaman that are on the bench. Also two shots Jirachi, but being able to kill Shaman while attacking the active is really good for one prize.
Okay, alright. It sounds like a really cool tech. Now, I guess we'll ask one more question for Standard before we start asking questions. Now, Lambot, you said that Manectric Crobat had a Rising. Now, why do you, like, is this because Evital is being played more, or just because people are just coming out of the woodwork and playing it now?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think it's good against like Night March and Vespiquen type decks. I'm not sure how good it actually is against Evital since they have the Gallade, which can just one-hit KO the Manectric.
It has so much health too.
Oh yeah, you can't even one-shot it.
It has 150.
Yeah.
They do play Wobbuffet though too in it, so I think it's kind of like a mix between Manectric Crobat and Wobbuffet Crobat. And then I've seen some with Parallel City in it as well. I haven't seen the deck in action or tested it myself, so I don't really know how those interact with anything in that format.
I know in top 4 I played against the Manectric Crobat thing on Saturday when I was playing Evital Gallade, and I think both games I just got like a turn 1 Gallade and was like, hey, good game. And I don't know, I 2-0'd him pretty easily. I don't know. I mean, maybe if they start attacking Wobbuffet, it might make things interesting, but I mean, license up Shamans and stuff, and it'll be okay, I think. I don't know, pretty interesting. I think it's like there was some kind of foreign regionals with Manectric Crobat won, and maybe that's the list they're using. I don't know, not sure. All right, but we're gonna go on questions because I mean the meta didn't shift that much. I don't think there's any new decks unless Swamball. Do you know any new decks that came out?
There was some new stuff.
Oh, buddy.
There's a Regice and Empoleon deck, and that's Empoleon from Breakthrough that adds 20 damage to a basic Pokemon.
Okay.
There's a Entei Charizard EX deck,
I still
which
don't
actually
believe that.
won a cities and got top 4 at another one.
What?
And then
Like the Tool Entei or the Entei EX?
the Tool Entei that
Yeah.
can
Oh, okay.
Ray Eels with Raikou from Breakthrough at a top second place and expanded. There was a Glalie EX deck that had a top 4 and expanded as well.
Does it say what it was played with?
Or
no?
I'm pretty sure it was played with Empoleon from Breakthrough, so I believe it can do 150 if you're matching hand sizes, so Empoleon would put it to 170 for the one-hit KOs on most EXs.
Yeah, it needs like a water and a DC, I think. So, I don't know. Seems cute. Oh, you got it. Noivern made it to. Oh, never mind. Made it to top 4. I was gonna say made it to top 8. I played against it, and my friend John Collier.
Noivern?
Yeah, Noivern.
The one with the, like, flip a coin if heads just doesn't do anything? Oh my god.
Yeah.
I played against someone like that at Cities, and I assume he didn't have the good lists. Because it was round 1, and it was a very, very boring game.
My friend John Collier, he piloted it to top 8. We played against each other, but I played Hex Maniac, so... Yeah, when you get Hex Maniac and attack with Gallade, you pretty much just knock him out over and over again. It's bad. Okay, well enough about that. Hopefully next week we'll see some new interesting stuff. I don't know. It might be a little while still before we see anything. Um, Especially, like, maybe for Standard, we might see a shift. Because I know some people are starting to play decks to beat the Evital deck. But we'll have to see because I don't know. Like, I heard Raichu, Sceptile, and Mega Mewtwo Y are being hyped to beat the Evital deck. So it'll be interesting to see next week if that actually happens. Okay. So let's go into questions. The first question, in your opinion, what is the best play for Expanded? And how can you tech against Jirachi? Which we already talked about that. So in your opinion, what is the best play for Expanded? Oh, Waymo.
I'd say Evital or Tyrantrum would be my top 2 plays for Expanded right now. I think both of them kind of have those 50-50 matchups against a lot of stuff. So those would probably be the 2 I'm most comfortable playing.
Excluding the tier S deck that I won't mention here, I think probably Totina or Vespiquen and Evital would be, I guess, the really good plays because they're easy to get into, they're easier to play, and don't require crazy sophisticated strategy. And still can perform well across the board. They don't have any strong auto losses. They don't have any strong auto wins either, but pretty consistent decks.
Alright, so if I was to pick a deck for Expanded, like if tomorrow was Expanded, I had to play a deck, it would be Sableye Garbodor. That is one of the best decks in Expanded.
Here,
That
so
deck
here's
is...
so that actually got top 8 at our city championship, and we have 75-minute top cut in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And the way it got knocked out was very similar to how Enrique lost the finals of nationals, and that was 75 minutes. So most areas have like 60 minutes, and some have like 50 minutes for your top cut. So all they have to do is win one game and then be ahead on prizes in a third game, and they win the match in top cut. So I couldn't recommend playing that deck at all.
But see,
yeah.
difference is, I'm not going to lose a game. So,
There you go.
we're good.
There you go.
Good.
Just
If you don't
Well-
lose,
Count on that.
you don't fall into that situation.
Well, you can actually not lose a game and still lose, because as long as they take 4 prizes in the second game, then that counts as a win, and Sableye doesn't take prizes. So as long as they can take 4 prizes and then just stall you out to time,
This guy.
In
and they'll
any
go
of the
to
games.
sudden death game 3.
This guy. Look, it
I
did
played
well
it.
at regionals. It made it far in the regionals, and it had to play multiple in those scenarios, and it still pulled out. So,
It's a really good deck.
yeah.
I played it on our first cities. Time constraints were pretty much the only issue because people see it, they're going to play slower. Like, it's just their reaction. They're not going to just speed through their turns because they know the slower they play, the better chance they have to win, either through a tie or just by kind of making the other player very, very hasty to compensate. So I think it's a really, really good deck, but in a cities format, I just don't think there's enough time. Like 30-minute, 40-minute rounds and 50-minute top cut. It's just not enough time. Still a really good deck, and it can and has performed very well.
I believe in El Squeako, so better watch out, Wamball. Coming to you.
Well, St. Louis has some like Pokedads and stuff who play very slowly, so you'll probably get paired against one of them rounds 1 and 2, and you'll just have a bad day after that.
Oh,
That's
no.
happened to me. And you feel bad being like, hey, could you play faster? It's like they're new. You don't want to be a jerk, but it's like, come on.
That's like a discussion for a different day. What do you do in these situations? You tell that new player like, hey man, it's a tournament. We gotta keep up the pace of play, or do you be the good guy? You're like, oh, it's okay, take your time, and then you lose.
I'd be the second one.
Oh man, it's always a tough decision because what if you lose game 1 and you're being like, or not game 1? What if you just, I don't know, not lose? I'm just talking about best. Sorry, I'm used to best 2 out of 3. So like, if you lose game 1 here, you're being the nice guy. And they've already played slow. The game 2, you can't all of a sudden be like playing real fast, trying to make them play real fast. Like, whoa, why are you trying to play me fast now? And you're trying to explain to them about ties. They don't understand. I don't know. It's weird. Weird situation. Okay. So here's the question. It's so much for expanded. It's just overall, is Judge good tech for that turn one setup to mess up your opponent? I'm gonna give a situation. I judged myself and didn't hit a supporter and lost the game. So it can go either way. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I think Judge is hilarious. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's like something you should tech for. If your strategy calls for it by say matching hand sizes or whatever, sure, it's a great card. But like relying on getting a turn one Judge to screw over your opponent, I don't know. Just play red card.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that great either. I think we have a lot of new players in the game now, so they don't remember the last time Judge was legal. When Heart Gold, Soul Silver on, the only deck I really remember that played Judge was Yanmega Magnezone.
Yeah.
And that's because Yanmega
Yeah.
had the attack that if you had matching hand sizes, it did more damage. And then once Aang came out in Noble Victories, and when you started getting EXs and Next Destinies, I don't remember seeing a single Judge after that. And 4 cards just really isn't that disruptive. Like I had that situation I talked about last week where my opponent played Judge on me turn 1, and he just kind of like had that feeling that that is all he had to do to win the game. And then I knocked out his Evital EX on turn 1, and he was like, oh no. and,
I've seen some salt threads on Burbank before about complaining about Judge. It's like they had Wobbuffet active, and then you just judged me. What do I do? I don't know. You both have 4 cards. Play out of it.
and if they have
You gonna say?
If they have the Wobbuffet, then they can't play Shamans themselves, and they're just stuck with a
Right.
4-card hand, so they're not in a good
It's like-
situation either.
It's like you're both like not in a great spot. I mean, they have the option to just retreat their Wobbuffet, but it's not a very good idea.
And what
It's
Mia
gimmicky.
was saying, I don't see why you'd play Judge over red cards, since red cards an item, and you can play red card and then play something like Sycamore, and actually
Yeah.
gain a real good card advantage over your opponent.
I think maybe some preferences you can't Jirachi for a red card, but like with how much draw you haven't expanded through the billions of item cards going turn 1 with Shaman and everything, like if you don't hit a red card playing 1 or 2 of them, you're not going to hit a Judge anyways. And teching Judge Jirachi in your deck is really dumb.
I don't know. Just like y'all been saying, you have Shamans, you have Ultra Balls, there's too many outs nowadays to worry about the Judge, and
Exactly.
you technically get 5 cards. Like you don't even get 4 because you draw 1 for your turn. You're like, oh, I get 5 cards. Okay, like whatever. And the next question.
I mean,
Oh.
sorry.
There you
I was
go,
gonna
you
say,
go, go.
I was gonna say, I mean, if they start and they blow up, get a Evil Tall, I guess, for instance, going, and then they double Dark Patch and get the whole thing going, and then they're like, all right, I drew using 4 Shamans, I did all this stuff, and then Silent Lab and Judge. And then they're like, your turn. It's kind of a pain in the butt, but flip better and go first.
Flip better. Practice those flips. There you go.
It's entirely gimmicky. I don't think anyone should ever like worry about running into it or worry about teching it.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's the kind of thing that can lead to like one salty opponent, but if you're playing it yourself, you're not putting yourself in a good position to win multiple games at a tournament. You might like piss off 1 or 2 people, but then you'll just have a bad deck for the other 3 rounds you play. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't
you'll
advise
be-
playing it.
You make other people salty, and then you're gonna pissed at yourself because you made yourself salty because you judge yourself into bad hands. Like,
Yeah. So, obviously, the answer is no. Judge is not enough to ruin consistency or mess up your opponent turn 1. So, no. The next question is, it's an interesting question. Is Gallade worth running in expanded decks over Archeops?
in my area, decks mainly, I guess, Evil Toll run both. Like 1/1 or 2 Gallade with 1 Archeops, something of that. But they usually run both. just because an Archeops is a good tech, if you're already running Maxis in the whole engine, it's one card that could completely win you or swing entire matchups in your favor. Like against Mega Rayquaza, it just destroys that deck. If you can get it out before they get any Megas. Because they have to Hex Maniac and hit the Hex Maniac after they do all their Shaman drawing. So I think Archeops and Gallade work very, very well together in tandem. But if you could only choose, I'd probably say Gallade, just because Gallade just provides consistency, has an amazingly strong attack that only hits for DCE, and has like 150 health. Like, it's not going to be a liability.
Got anything
Yeah.
to add? Oh,
I like the split of one of each in Maxie's decks. That's everything I've been testing. Running Maxie's plays both of them. I'd probably choose Archeops over Gallade if I was only going to do one. Just because I don't like having an attacker that's going to be an inconsistent part of my strategy. And there's so much Seismitoad Giratina in my area that I don't feel confident actually getting a Gallade out. While Archeops, you just really want to get out against decks that aren't going to be item locking you, like Vespiquen or Mega Ray. So I'd feel I get more use out of the Archeops than I would have a Gallade.
Oh, I like Gallade's Premonition ability a lot. It works well with things like Trainer's Mill, because it lets you search for 5 instead of 4, essentially. It lets you set up acrobikes and not have to choose between 2 DCE, for example. And even like drawing for the next turn or whatever. I don't know. I get what you mean, though. I just personally prefer the Gallade.
so I have an interesting quote from Sammy Sosa. We were talking about this weekend. He said, I played a similar list to regionals, but it said I played Gallade over Archeops. Bleep, I'm never playing that again. So, if Sammy Sosa is like, I'm never playing Gallade again, and he played Archeops for regionals, want to go for that guy there, so.
I mean,
I think-
he is a very known player. He probably has his reasons, definitely.
I think you have to go with the split for that reason. Then you get the best of both worlds.
That's
Right.
true.
Does-
I choose.
I do like the idea of having both, like just in case you play against like something that doesn't play it, like evolutions. You can get out the Glade. If they do, you can get out the Archeops. So I don't know. But if I had to pick as well, if you had to pick one, I would pick Archeops just because not audio ones do, but it helps you like Vespiquen and everything like Andromeda said. So
I guess it depends on the deck as well. Like, Evital has a lot more reasons for running Gallade than other decks might. Because it has
I
a big
guess.
Manectric problem, so having that fighting attacker is really good. But if you're playing Night March, you already knock out most stuff. So Archeops is probably better than Gallade in that deck.
Yeah. And in terms of, like, what you said, I was mostly thinking Evital, but in Night March, I definitely think Archeops is the better play.
alright, so the next question is Parallel City a thing in expanded metagame?
It's been in and out of so many decks in my area. I've actually used it in my own Darkrai Dusknoir deck. It's hilarious tech. But as for its impacts, it really depends. Like, sometimes you can screw yourself over because you block out some of your own options, such as Keldeo and Seismitoad if you run those. In particular, my deck has Keldeo and Seismitoad, so like it locks me out from using those options. Or if I limit my own bench, I might, like, I guess, screw myself over. But aside from that, I think it's a really good card. Just depends on what deck and, again, the entire meta. Like, against Rayquaza, dropping them from a Skyfield to a Parallel City is crazy. Like, they lose 5 Pokemon. It's very hard to recover off of that. So, it's a good card. Let's play it in Expanded.
Yeah, I haven't seen Parallel City yet, but I know I've been testing a few different things with it. So if it's not in your area yet, I'd expect it to start popping up pretty soon.
Yeah, I haven't tested either. I first expanded regional I'm going to is probably this weekend. But besides that, all my not regionals, all my cities are standard. So I'm just gonna kind of YOLO this weekend and go with whatever. But besides that, I don't know. It seems okay. I still like laser verbing more just for the damage output, but I don't know. Mia said a
Yeah.
lot of people are playing Parallel City instead, so maybe it's obviously a better play. I'm not sure.
It's good in Toad Giratina. The Evil Toll with Assault Vest is playing it. It just limits your opponent's options and is a slight form of control when you don't want to be super aggressive with lasers, especially because lasers take up a lot of room.
Okay.
And Vespiquen and Night March you don't need lasers against them because they already die in one hit. So it's kind of a wasted thing. Whereas Parallel City can bump their stadium, but also limit their bench entirely, which is very helpful.
Or reduce their damage output.
Yes, that's pretty good. I've done that against the Giratina. That was funny.
Okay, so the next question is, how is Mega Manectric Regice and Expanded? I don't know. I don't like Mega Manectric. I probably never play it. But what do y'all think?
Yeah, I don't like the deck either. I think it can be okay though, because it's not that bad against Toad Giratina, and then with the Articuno, you can do alright against Vespiquen and Night March if you can avoid getting your Mega Manectrics knocked out before you can Turbo Bolt. So, I don't know how effective Regice actually is, but as far as Mega Manectric with the Articuno, I think that could have a spot in Expanded.
Yeah, I don't like the deck too much. I don't think it's terrible, but I don't think it's like worthy too much to note. It's just another one of the Manectric variants that probably isn't the best Manectric variant. But I haven't seen anyone play it really.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody play it either. I mean, as far as Regice thing, like Wimball said, there's not really a use for. Like, almost every deck has like an answer to Regice nowadays, so... the next question is the interesting question. It's from Max. Why don't we see more variants in the decks that do well with such a large card pool?
I think the premise of this question is off, because we have 36 different decks that have made top 4 in standard format so far, and I think that's a ton of variance. But as far as the top few decks, nothing has more than 20% right now, and there's only like 3 or 4 things in both formats over 10% of the top 4s. So I think there is a lot of variance, but the best stuff will usually win more than stuff that's not as good as them. So we'll usually just see the better decks keep on winning more and more.
My answer is because some people want to play the same deck for 3 years in a row.
Like somebody.
Ha ha ha. So, but actually, I think it's just because it's hard to make something super crazy that works consistently in a format dominated by very speedy, fast EXs. Jirachi Promo helps that somewhat because you can slow down those decks, I guess, namely Toad. But I think it's just most people don't want to take the risk. It's only cities, so they could, but there's not too much time to test between each, I guess, different cities over and over. Because you want to be testing a deck that you know is going to do well at, because you can get 200 points from cities out of it, 300 assumed point invite. No reason to take like massive risks and test like some super secret deck. Especially when Break like didn't introduce too much to Expanded. We already had everything but Parallel City and I guess Zoroark, Yveltal, Jirachi. I think those are the only like notable Break cards that I can remember that influenced the format, and everything else has already been in Expanded.
I think one thing to note too is, let's say like somebody does good with a deck that nobody's ever heard of, but they're not that known of a player. Usually that just gets wiped away. Like if somebody like won a cities with Glalie, and they're like, "Oh, this is really good." I'm like, "No, it's not good. You're just bad. You played in the bad cities. Whatever. You got lucky." It's hard to tell. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Like usually,
Right.
if a deck is good, we usually don't like pay attention to it unless I don't know. If Jason won something with this weekend and nobody ever heard of it, then of course we're going to see an increase of that deck. I think people just kind of follow a pattern. Like if you see, like right now, we're seeing a lot of people win with Evital, and a lot of people just kind of copying it. I don't know. I think that's one reason why, and I think a lot of people are kind of scared. Like some people are like, I think my deck's good. I don't know if it's good, but I don't want to play it. Like a friend said earlier, John Collier, he loved Noivern. He's like, I don't know if it's good. I'm like, well, you're not gonna know unless you play it. And he's like, well, it's done good at testing. I'm like, well, then play it. Like, just play it for one cities. It's one cities. You got like 30 billion to go to,
Right?
So just try it out. If you think a deck is good, go for it. But why don't we see more variants? It's just because people are scared. They follow a pattern. They're gonna follow the same decks they want to see. And obviously, there's some decks that are just better than others, like both Andrew and
Yeah, it's hard to top the biggest of the big.
I would say to keep Glalie EX on your radar. One of the top 8s for Glalie was one of the people I consider one of the best people in the world. So.
Oh man, who was it?
Sean Foisey.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Vileplume Glalie EX. So I'd keep an eye out on it. There might be a little extra something there that people aren't seeing yet.
Yeah,
Probably.
If Sean made
That
top 8
sounds
with it,
fun.
it's good. But Sean's known to play, well, I don't know, known, but he's always played like interesting decks every time I've seen him. So Sean's just a good player, like overall. You can hand him a theme deck, and he'll probably make like top 16 with it. So, all right, let's see. This is another interesting question for Expanded. How much will Zoroark play in Expanded with the return of Keldeo EX?
I don't think he'll see a ton of play. I think it's still really good though. I've been trying some stuff out on it. I don't feel confident in anything I've built with it yet, but it's definitely above being a bag card for Expanded. I'm just not sure if there's anything with it that I feel would be the best play for a tournament right now.
I think Keldeo just kind of eclipses it just because it takes up one spot versus 2 or 3 and is ready to just drop and go. But on the other side, Zoroark isn't stopped by Silent Lab, which isn't like super big, but it's something tiny to consider, I suppose. And its attack isn't like terrible. But I think Keldeo will just still reign supreme because you can search it out with Hoopa, you can search it out with I guess anything else that could get Zoroark. Sorry, I'm dumb. So mostly just Hoopa, I guess. But it's just a grab it, drop it, and flipstone it, and you're good. You don't have to evolve it. You don't have to plan. You don't have to, have a 2-2 line of an evolution in your deck. So Zoroark, if it sees plays and expanded, will probably be just because of its attack and deck based around that.
I think, like, obviously the reason why we see Zoroark in Standard now, it's because we don't have Keldeo. But one thing to note as well is we don't have an attacker that can really attack by turn 2 fairly strong. Like, we don't have Dark Patches, so you can't power up Evital EX by turn 2, swinging, 170 damage, which is fairly easily and expanded with Dark Patches, which is why I don't think Zoroark will see play because of that reasoning, because we get Dark Patches, power Evital EXs.
Very good point, yeah.
The next question I just want to answer is Bridget a good play in Landy Bats? Yes, Brigetti can get you multiple Zubats. If you want to play it, play it. Landy Bats, not so much of a great deck, and Expanded, I don't think. So, try to get that real quick out of the questions. We kind of already been over this. How much does Breakthrough set impact Expanded? And I don't know. It's not really Breakthrough that broke Expanded. It's the promo Jirachi that kind of helped Expanded. Unless there's anything else I'm really missing. Parallel City, like, maybe, but Jirachi is definitely, like, the thing that kind of shakes up Expanded.
Yeah, I think at my cities this past weekend, the Jirachi promo was the only thing not legal from fall regionals that was able to make it into a deck that made top 8. So, as far as my cities have gone, it hasn't had any impact.
Yeah, I don't even consider the Jirachi part of Breakthrough, just released around the same time because it's a promo. Like, Breakthrough is mostly a reprint set for Expanded.
I think so.
Like, very, very few cards, and the few that there are just aren't impactful enough, so I don't think it influenced much at all. Added slightly, I guess, different options, but no meta shift.
I do think if there's going to be like one playable EX or playable card that we might see it pack expanded is Mega Sceptile or Sceptile EX, whichever way you want to talk about it. We haven't really seen that much play here in America, but over in like all the foreign countries, it's been really seeing a lot of plays. So
That's from Ancient Origins.
The
though.
Sceptile from...
That's
oh,
That's
is
not
it?
the
Oh my
breakthrough.
goodness. Well, never mind. We're good.
not-
I'm slow.
I almost had
We're
to
good.
Google. I was like, did they make another
We're good.
Sceptile?
We're
Oh
good.
my
Why?
God.
I don't know why I thought. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. Thanks, Wamball. Glad you're here because I would have just ran on about that. So. I don't know. See, I don't even know what cards come out what set. Yeah, it's kind of all just run together. All right, we're good. We're good. Let's keep on going. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna see some of these since, like, we've already talked about Sidestone, Laser Bank. Okay, why is Sinister Hand, Dusknoir the truth? It must be just to Mia.
Well, personally, I think it's one of the strongest abilities in the game, if not the strongest. It's total manipulation of damage. It influences early game and late game. Anything you do early game can impact your late game. Let you control what, I guess, your opponent's board position is, what they can attack with, what they can't attack with. You can keep things alive, technically, to limit their bench so they can't keep shamaning for stuff. And in addition, with so many other cards, like the new Evil Toll, which is just 120 splashing stuff, it can lock things active with its ability. I don't know, I think it's just a very, very versatile card. The only problem is it's very fat and hard to fit into a lot of decks. It takes up like 6 spots minimum with a 2/2/2 line, and you could fit in another Duskull or Candy, and then most of the time you don't want a Super Rod with that. It's a very, very fat card. Aside from that, it's very good. There have been games where I have been down me 6 prizes, them 1 prize. I have 90 damage in play, and I swing, and I'm able to flip the game around entirely and go down to 1 prize, take out all their attackers in a go, and win the game. It's very, very good.
All right,
It's very
so
risky.
let's ask another question to Mia. I think it's kind of, I don't know. We'll see what I mean in a second. What does Stroobs think is the best play for expanded?
Stroobs. Stroobs is Stroobs. Stroobs thinks Darkrai Dusknoir is the best play for expanded. It's the deck he has most experience watching.
probably influenced a lot. So I was like, decision is probably influenced. So
Stroobs is my little, I guess, plushy strawberry for anyone who doesn't know. He's the cutest.
You're not friends with Mia. She always takes pictures with it, which can't complain. Don't worry, because I always have mine. So
Right.
we're
You
good.
have a cute Shaman. Everyone has their own. Stroobs
Shaman's
is
always goes with
mine.
me. Look, Wamball's got his Charizard right behind him too, so everybody's got their own plushies. Even if you don't want to admit it. Alright. So the next question is going to be best / any use for Buddy Rescue.
I've seen it in Night March decks. I don't know why people are playing it in there too much, or at least in a lot of the variants I've seen. I think Revive's generally gonna be better along with Super Rod. I guess you can get back Bronzong or Melodic if you play either of those with it and not be locked out of your stage 1s, because Revive would only get back your basics. But every time I played against someone playing it, it just lets me do something like get a Shaman EX out of my discard, and then I have really good draw for my next turn. So I'd probably never really want to play the card since it can help my opponent.
You just play 4 of them at once, so now they have too many cards to Shaman. That's the play. I honestly can't think of any like positive use for it other than a gimmick or I guess getting stuff back and expanded. There's just so many other better cards. Super Rod, namely. If you really need something in a pinch, I don't think Buddy Rescue is going to help you there. Just because you could have been running so many different cards that it could have influenced the game otherwise.
Like Wimball said, if you're going to play it, definitely just play it. Probably Night March, maybe a Raichu deck. But besides that, I don't know. Like, what? A cool thing you can always do, and I know Wimball will talk about this. Oh, there's troops. There we go. Cool thing you can do. Turn one, they can't get back into their Pokemon. Is let's say you have a Battle Compressor and a Buddy Rescue. You can Compressor away Shaman and dump other cards, and then use the Buddy Rescue, get that Shaman, play it out. I mean, it's cute.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing though. And of course, if you like my Melodic Raichus and stuff like that, you can get them back late game if need be. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I guess Night March has a very good point for it because it already runs a huge discard engine, and you might want to get one Night Marcher back, just so you can still swing. Because once Night March runs out of Marchers, it can't really attack. So getting one back in a pinch is very helpful. But I can't see it like being a staple in any other deck, really. It's more like a really fun tech.
All right.
And Revive can get Night Marchers too.
That's true. Yeah, it's weird. It's like a weird situational kind of thing. Well, let's see here. The next question is gonna be Durant, yes or no? I'm gonna say no. There's so many other better decks better than Durant right now because Durant you have to get like multiples down to even start basically using Durant. What do y'all think?
Bumblebee eclipses Durant in every single possible way.
I'd say no. I built it on Sunday and lost 3 games and then stopped playing it.
Let's see.
Right.
Will Lucky Helmet C play? No.
I'm gonna say no for right now. Maybe sometime in the future, like in Standard with new cards or something, it may change. But right now, there's just so many better tools to be running, namely Muscle Band and Assault Vest.
I've seen it played with Noctowl and then Metagross as well in standard format. It's good for fulfilling those deck's objectives. It's a really awkward card though, because those are non-EX decks, so you have really long games and you generally go through a lot of your deck. So I've run into a lot of situations where I can't have them attack into something I might have on my bench with a Lucky Helmet, because then I'll deck out and not have a card to draw to start my turn. So it's a very weird card. I think just running more other draw cards like Acrobike or Bicycle and Expanded is probably a better use of the card spots than Lucky Helmet.
Yeah. It's not that Lucky Helmet's bad, it's just that it's better tools, I think.
Like Wimball said, if you're playing Lucky Helmet, it's probably because your deck is based around Lucky Helmet, like Metagross and Noctowl. But besides that, I don't know. Let's see. Well, Mia's already explained why Dusknoir is still the BDIF. She's already been over that.
It's too good.
This is an interesting question. Are senior results at all relevant to Masters?
I'd say usually not. The only time where it can become relevant is if a rogue deck does well in seniors. But I don't think city championships are big enough that anyone will care about seniors results. But like 2 years ago, there's a player in my area who was playing Flygon in seniors, and he like won Illinois states with it, and he made like top 2 at 2 other states, and everyone was just watching him play Flygon. And then Flygon actually leaked from the senior division into Masters division, and then I think it made top 8 at Nationals that year.
Yeah.
So usually seniors results won't matter, but sometimes if it's a unique deck, then I think Masters might pay attention to it.
Yeah, I think unless there's some crazy outlier deck, that seniors results are not really important whatsoever in terms, or not in terms, but in relation to Masters. A lot of times, at least in my area, seniors is usually the same 4 or 5 kids with a bunch of other randoms who don't play competitively. So it's always going to be the same people playing top, and they're just going to be countering each other. rather than, I guess, anyone else. So it's, I don't know, not super interesting to me personally. For regionals and bigger events, I could see some of their results being helpful just because it's like, hey, these decks did well, and there was actually a bigger pool of competitive players. But for LCs and cities and stuff like that, I just don't think they're big enough to have any conclusive results or any like, whoa, that deck's really cool because it's seniors, and it could come down to, well, you played against two theme decks and then ID twice and you're in top.
I mean, I agree with Andrew said if there's a rogue deck that's being played, obviously look into that. But if there's like a consistent, really good senior that gets beat for some reason, and like top, well, I guess that kind of goes with rogue. I was gonna say that gets beat in top four, like the finals of whatever, and they're playing a weird deck, then look into it. But that's the rogue deck thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just besides the rogue deck, not much. Oh, like Mia
I
said,
think-
they're basically counter each other. Like all the higher ups, I guess senior players are just seeing what they're playing better, and basically just beating each other.
I think
Yeah.
even if something was worth moving over to Masters Division, I think no one would know about it because there's not really anyone tracking senior results right now. So there could be like the BDIF being played in seniors, and all the Masters just have no idea about this deck.
Well, I did give my list to one of the juniors, and she's tearing it up. She has BDF right now.
There you go.
There you go.
So here's an interesting question. I don't know if we talked about this or not, Wamball. How do you deal with the imitation factor in events? Knowing your opponent is a well-known player, how do you approach the game? I don't know if have we talked about this before, Wamball?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
That's a little weird because I'm the intimidation factor in my area, and people get intimidated against me. And if you're getting intimidated, it's gonna really impact your play. Like so many times, like I should lose games that I win, but people are just really nervous, and then they just start making really weird plays, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lose this game, and then I'm like, oh, they shouldn't have done that, and then all of a sudden I'm right back in the game. As far as when I play a really great player, I don't really get nervous anymore. I know I did when I first started playing, but now I just really look forward to it and just take it as a learning experience, like see if there's anything they're doing in their play that I can take and use in my game. And I think the biggest thing is just to keep on playing, and then once you have more experience playing against better players, it'll just be normal to you and you'll just be comfortable doing it. But anytime you're newer and in a new situation where you're not used to playing against the top players yet, then I think you're just going to naturally be nervous. You just have to keep going at it until you're not nervous anymore.
Yeah. Sounds like the only way to overcome it is just experience. I don't think I've ever dealt with people intimidated by me personally. More often it's people being overzealous or pompous or whatever, because, or cocky even, because, oh, I'm playing a girl, blah, blah, blah. I don't think I've ever had anyone come up to me after or that I could notice being like, oh, it's Mia Violet. Just, I mean, I don't have the achievements and status that a lot of other players have, so that's definitely a factor. So I can't really comment too much on that. And as for being intimidated myself, it's been very few times where I have, but I don't know, I just treat it normally and smile and talk to them and have fun. I mean, they're human too.
I've kind of had a similar thing with people downplaying it when they play against me. Like, there's a lot of people online who will, like, look at my website and they go into, like, they get this belief, like, oh, he's a bad player because maybe I write something they disagree with. So then come a tournament and I get paired against them, they have this idea in their head that I can't play the game, and then I'm signing
Where they got
win.
that from?
Yeah. So then I sign win on the match slip, and they're just sitting there salty, and a lot of times they let their guard down and they're thinking about other stuff at that point. And as soon as you can get someone thinking about something that's not the game, they're not going to have their clear focus. And when they're not focused on the game, that's when misplays start happening. So the biggest thing, circling back to the intimidation thing, if you're in a situation where you're intimidated, you just have to stay focused on the game. Because as soon as you start thinking about other things, you're going to be thinking of that and not what you're doing with the cards in your hand. And that's what I think drives a lot of the misplays that people make when they're intimidated by their opponent.
All right, so I see. Yeah, I mean, you talked about a lot of stuff already, but I'm just going to add on. So, how do you deal with the intimidation factor in events? Well, the only time I've ever been intimidating is when I played against Jay Hornong. That has always been my idol. The first thing I said to Jay is, Jay, I'm playing pink sleeves because of you. Like, you play pink sleeves, so I play pink sleeves. When I noticed he wasn't playing pink sleeves that day, and I was like, I'm going to win because Jay's not using pink sleeves. And I beat him, and then after that, I really haven't been intimidating since then, since Jay has been always my #1 player. And, I don't know, if you take down the person you think that is the most intimidating in Pokemon, you shouldn't be intimidating anymore. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I played against my idol and was semi-intimidating, but you just, I guess, deal with it and focus on the game, like you said.
Yeah. But don't think about it too much. Just don't look at your opponent. Just kind of look at the cards in the field. Don't like think about your opponent and who you're playing against. Just think of it as a random person once again, and you'll be okay. Like Wamball said, don't focus too much on them, or you'll make a misplay, miss something, and then you'll lose.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's really important to remember. Just because they have a lot of success doesn't mean there's any special abilities they have. Like they can't make their cards do something that your cards can't. So if you play the cards correctly, then you're going to put yourself in a position to win.
True. Just think, at one point in time, they were also in your shoes as nobody that they knew. So, you could be the next Jason. Who knows? Anything could happen. Let's see here.
there are new cards leaking right now, sorry.
No, don't look at that, Mia. Oh, you gotta work.
No,
you have to work.
No, it's I would just message and was asked to translate this card, and I look at it. And it looks really cool. It's an item card that you get to choose stuff on, but someone else can translate it.
Shout out to Mia. She works for Poke Beach. Thank you for all the translation, Mia.
It's volunteer service, not work.
No, but I still give a shout out. I don't know if it's work.
Oh, you can shout out, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Thank
volunteers
you, I appreciate
work. I didn't say you're getting paid.
that. I would not mind that, but there's better translators.
Okay. Let's think about this. This is like a lopsided question. What's better as a non-EX attacker and expanded? Raichu, Zoroark, or Dusknoir?
Alright, so first of all, Dusknoir is not an attacker. Or no, I read that wrong. I was thinking attackers. I was like, I don't think I even know what Dusknoir's attack is called. It's just like PCCC for 60. That doesn't do anything. But anyways, my choice is already clear. Non-EX tech, Dusknoir, easily. I don't like Zoroark too much, and Raichu's very dependent on your bench size and isn't too strong unless you're, I guess, running a DCE engine and possibly Skyfield and other, I guess, non-EX attackers.
I've had good success with Raichu as a tech before. I think Raichu is mostly dependent on what the metagame is. It's always nice because against like Vespiquen and Night March style decks, it gives you a non-EX attacker for one attachment. But mostly Raichu has always been good, just because like Evital's been good, Mega Rayquaza has been good. So there's always been lightning weak Pokemon that you can one-hit KO with it.
With Yveltal, Raichu's very good if you run DCEs.
But I think like most of these cards are not techs. they're things you build a deck around.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really tech Dusknoir in because it's going to take up so many spots in your deck that it's just part of the deck at that point, and it's not a
Takes
tech.
9 spots. It's kind of a deck. You know.
Like, I guess, like, there's Trevenant Excelgor, which had 1/1/1 Dusknoir at one point, so that's kind of a tech version of Dusknoir, but it's still kind of part of the main strategy. As far as the cards go, I think Dusknoir is probably the strongest overall, though, if you're trying to build a deck.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Non-biased, agreed. It's just so much more influential and stuff. And it resists fighting, which is pretty cool. Well, the pre-evolutions do. The Dusknoir doesn't, which is weird. But
I'm actually gonna say none. If you're, I don't know, I mean, if you're scared of like a I don't know, like a Regice or a Suicune, I mean, and your deck doesn't beat it, well, I wouldn't be too worried about it because those decks don't really see that much play. They get like, I mean, if you play against it round 1, then that might be the only time you have to worry about it. But usually the people who are playing those, like if they're playing like Suicune or Sigilyph, they're usually still putting down other Pokemon for you to attack. Because I don't know, I don't know anybody that's really playing Suicune or Sigilyph, so you're probably playing against like somebody random who doesn't really know so much about the metagame right now. So unless I'm like really wrong about this.
Well, I just remembered that I played Zoroark as a tech in my Mega Rayquaza deck, and I played for Standard 2 weekends ago.
Oh, well, that's different.
And
That's not a tech. You have to play it in Mega Rayquaza. You can't stand it. Like what? No.
I just threw it in last minute just to have another attacker, and I don't think it's like super effective, but it punished anyone who misplayed by just playing down a bunch of shamans and filling up their bench. But so I don't think it's like good overall, because as soon as you start playing better players, they'll make sure not to just lead themselves into Zoroark one-hit KOing EXs.
Yeah.
this card.
Okay. Alright, so let's go to this one. I don't know, it's a very weird question. Do you have any tips for seniors who are moving up to Masters?
Don't get cocky and I don't know. Like a lot of the seniors who age up typically were the seniors who were just dominating the area because there's no real other competition. So they get into Masters thinking they're, the hot shot, and then they get trounced. So I think having a bit of modesty with that and understanding that you're going to lose a few games, you're going to win a few games too. So I don't know, trying to be very cool and casual about it and not being very arrogant.
I think so. The second part of the question asks what differences there are between seniors and masters lines of thinking, and I think you have to really focus in your play when you move up to masters. In seniors, you can get away with a lot worse deck lists and decks just because you have so fewer people you have to actually beat. Like, there's only a few good people in each area for seniors, so it's not too hard to just beat a few different people. But when you get to masters, there might be like 12 to 15 different players who have a legit shot at winning a tournament. So it's a lot more difficult to actually win, so you have to really bring your A game and make smart deck choices and actually play something that's legitimately good.
Okay. Sorry, so Mia's just now freaking out. Go ahead, Mia. You can say what it is.
Oh, it just... So this card, it's Time Puzzle. It'll be on Poke Beach in a second, but it's one of those choose one or two, or choose effect one or two, like Giovanni scheme. And the second effect, what we have translated, and like 4 of us are like, no way this is real, but it reads, effect number 2, if you do this, look at your look at your discard pile, choose any 2 cards you want there, show them to your opponent, put them into your hand. It's any 2 cards. It just says card. It doesn't say energy or anything, just card, and then you put them into your hand. Like,
That's pretty insane.
that's stupid. And it's an item card. It's not a supporter.
Like I
So
thought that-
like, there's a tiny clause at the very end that we're reading, but like, Jesus Christ, that's stupid.
maybe you have to be behind on prizes or something.
Doesn't look like it. Doesn't mention prizes or anything.
Oh,
It's just-
buddy.
Looks more like if you only or if you don't have to and you discard, then just choose
Okay.
one. I think that's probably the clause. But yeah, it's really stupid. So sorry for being distracted. Oh, maybe that's it. Okay. Anyways, there's a pretty hefty stipulation on that, so it'll be on PokeBeach, so you could go there and read it. We can continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all fun. All right. So you good to go, Wimball?
Uh,
Yeah, I actually thought they were
Well-
gonna reprint Junk Arm at some point. 2 cards is quite surprising though.
Oh,
So
the final clause is a limitation that makes it not that crazy, but still, oh my god, that's good.
Wait, you're not gonna tell us what the clause is, though?
No, you have to go to PokeBeach to read it.
Okay. All right. Got you. All right.
It'll be out by now, anyways. So I guess it's we're reading it as you can only use the effect once a game,
Oh, okay.
Okay.
kind of like the
That-
old Master Ball. Yeah,
that's pretty balanced then. Still really
right,
good
right.
though.
Like at first I was like, Jesus, that's stupid, but now we're reading it. Yeah,
'Cause you
like
can
it
just
wasn't
play
the
it like the A
cleanest
spec.
scan. Yeah, it's basically an A spec, but you can play more of one of, but you can only use once a game. Still really good.
But you can
But if
only
you play-
it once. Oh my goodness, that's gonna be so hard
No,
to
no,
keep up
okay.
when you're...
Oh, no, you could play 4 because the first stipulation, you can use it as many times as you want. So, the first one is look at the top 3 cards of your deck and rearrange them however you want. So you can play 4, and you can use the first one as much as you want, and the second one only once. Or once, there you go.
There you go. Okay.
So I guess it's a good card to run 4 of because it's consistency and everything, and you can use the second effect whenever you have that. And then the
That's-
rest aren't dead cards.
That's gonna be
That's
really
really-
messy. 'Cause
That's a really good card, though.
I think there's gonna be a lot of people who, like, I think there's gonna be some judge issues where people say their opponent already used the second effect or stuff like that, or people trying to use the second effect twice, saying they haven't used it already.
Yeah, so we don't know if it's per game or per turn yet. It's very confusing. We're not native speakers, so
Alright. This is what happens when you're doing stuff live. Anything can happen. Mia gets new translations for us. Alright, so
I'm
next
sorry.
question.
It's just too good. It's distracting.
I think the next question is just for Mia. Will Senpai ever notice me?
Senpai noticed you, Emily.
Alright, so let's go to the next question. What are Zorak Glade's worst matchups?
I haven't tested standards since I have a string of expanded, so I haven't tested Zoroark Glade after I attended those string of cities. But I think what it struggles most against are probably decks with Nani-X attackers that can one-hit KO anything in their deck, but also Nani-X attackers that don't just get knocked out by a mini Evital. So like Night March can struggle against it since Pumpkaboo and Joltik get knocked out, but something like Raichu Crobat should be able to create a favorable prize exchange. And then I thought when I played Mega Ray and Tyrantrum, as long as I watched how much stuff I benched, I didn't think the deck was too hard to beat. You just have to knock out the 2 Zoroarks usually, and then everything else in the deck just isn't that good of an attacker against those decks.
I haven't touched standard since World, so I can't offer any input. I don't even know what decks in standard are good right now, besides like the main 3 that we discussed earlier.
Alright, so like Wimball said, Raichu is a really good deck against it. There's nothing you can really do. You're just gonna get smacked in the face by Raichu, Cry. Mega Mewtwo Y is actually a really hard matchup just because it needs two energies and they can like just constantly just knock you out over and over again while you're not knocking them out. They can AZ him back up, put him back into your hand, whatever. And then also, Sceptile EX is another hard matchup. I can't remember why Kevin said it was a hard matchup, but that's what he lost to in top 4.
Is it because you don't knock them out in one hit, and then they can just heal off all their Pokemon with Mega Sceptile's attack?
Well, no, he actually lost to Sceptile Crobat. Like, not even the Mega. But that's also another situation as well, is you can do that. I can't remember why Kevin said it was bad. If I find out in a second why, I'll just randomly say it. But that's, me and Kevin are talking about it, and that's your main ones right there, those 3. Anything that can constantly heal yourself over and over again, you're going to lose. Obviously, Mega Manectric, you can just one-shot because you play the Glade, so don't worry about that. So, here's the thing. I know Mia doesn't know this answer. Evital, Zoroark, Glade. Which is better, Unknown or Shaman? Or both?
Shaman?
I think you want both in the deck. Kevin Baxter played both in the deck, so I think whatever he is doing is probably the right way to play it.
Yeah, like, why not both? If you could only choose one, me not knowing anything about Standard, Shaman's just so much better. Like, they're both good draw utility, but Shaman Eclipse is unknown in so many ways. But why not just run both? Like, whatever split that you feel comfortable and fit in and have tested and whatever. There's no reason to run one or the other.
The thing is, if you can't find the space for Shaman and Unknown, I would definitely just play Shaman, just because
Same.
Shaman's just good overall. But I mean, I understand why they're playing the Unknown, so you can like Premonition, Farewell Letter, hit the cards you need. I mean, it's really good on paper, but what you're cutting to fitting in those 2 to 3, maybe 4 Unknowns might be very crucial cards or something like that. I don't know. Like Wimball said, Kevin played it. If Kevin's doing it, then maybe it's great. I haven't seen any of the list besides Kevin play Unknowns that I know of. So, maybe Kevin's just crazy. I mean, Kevin is crazy. He was like the first person to play Groudon whenever I thought it was bad. So, I don't know. Maybe Kevin's onto something. We'll have to find out later. I want to see. Let's see here. Another question for Expanded. Will players finally start playing Tool Scrapper or Megaphone after seeing many successful lists like Vespiquen and Night March playing Life Dew, or is the spot better utilized for consistency, or Xerosic?
In my area, there are very few decks that run either Tool Scrapper or Megaphone. I personally run a Scrapper, in pretty much all of my decks, just because I don't know, it feels weird not running it to me. Especially with Life Dew being very, very big on top of the new Rock Guard and all of that. But, I guess not new, but in Toad, if you can ever break the lock. But I can't say every deck running it, just some don't care about it. Like Giratina Toad doesn't really care about it because you're item locked and Toad stops tools and everything. It's just...
Yeah, I think...
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, I think it's just personal preference. I don't think one's better or worse in any specific situation.
Yeah, I think it depends on every deck a lot. Like, some decks will have other ways to get around these cards. Like, if you're playing Evital, you can play Fright Knight Evital and knock out the Life Dew Pokemon with that. Otherwise, either one, Megaphone, Tool Scrappers, or Xerosic. Like, if you're playing a non-EX deck, then Megaphone might be the way to go, but if you're playing EXs, Tool Scrapper might be better because you can remove Headringers, and then if you're playing Headringer yourself, you probably want Tool Scrapper so you can pick off the tools you actually want and not discard your own Headringers, so you can just keep putting more Headringers on.
Yeah.
And I like Xerosic a lot just because you can search it out with VS Seeker. So I think all 3 of them are good. It just depends on your deck and you have to test out which one works better with your own deck.
Yeah. It's not too many situations where you need a megaphone in expanded just because most of the time they only have one or two things that are float stoned or have a tool that you really need to get rid of. Um, so I don't know. I think Tool Scrapper and 106, like one of each, is pretty comfortable for anything. But again, it's comes down to your deck, your meta, and your personal preference.
If I had to pick one, it would definitely just be Xerosic. I mean, you don't not want to have a way to get rid of tools. Like, I think you always need that like way to get rid of tools. And even if they don't have tools, you still have the Xerosic get rid of special energies, which if they're not playing tools or special energies, I don't know what kind of deck you're playing against. So, I mean, every deck has either one of those two cards, so Xerosic is definitely worth it. And especially expanded, you never know when Garbodor will show its ugly face, and if you need Garbodor, you need that Xerosic for sure. And also, it's just really good against Toad. So, Xerosic DC is probably the best thing. The next question, I think we've already been over this. It's been kind of a hot minute. Glade versus Regirock, which one do you like more? Oh, we talked about Glade versus Archeops, sorry. Mia probably doesn't know, guys. Just to let you know.
I don't have any strong opinion in either.
Yveltal with Regirock was one of the first ideas I had for standard format, just to give yourself out to deal with Mega Manectric. But I think when I was thinking about it, I was kind of ignoring a lot of the breakthrough cards. So I'm pretty sure I just overlooked Gallade when I did that. I think I like Gallade better because it has a 1 energy attachment attack, so you can just attach the DC and attack with it, while Regirock needs a little more setup as far as attacking goes. And then as far as like the Yveltal decks go, one of the nice things about Gallade is you can just Lysander up a Shaman and knock it out. Where with Regirock, because of the resistance, you need a Muscle Band or Strong Energy, which I don't think people play Strong Energy in the Yveltal things. And fighting decks is not quite as bad. I do like Regirock a lot though. Like if you get Focus Sash and a Strong Energy on it, you can just take out 4 Shamans or 2 Shamans for 4 prizes before it gets knocked out, which can really swing a game. But as far as the Yveltal stuff goes, I think Gallade fits a lot better with the deck. But I think they're both pretty playable.
Alright, so real quick, it's a preference thing. Do you want to Maxis to get out your... Oh, we're going to talk about Yveltal. Do you want to Maxis to get out your Gallade? Yes or no? If you say, no, I don't want to Maxi, you're playing Regirock. Do you want to play Fighting Energies? If the answer is no, then your answer is Gallade. I don't know, it's a really a weird, like, that's basically the main two things, is you don't want to Maxis, you're not going to play Gallade, basically. Like Wemba said, you obviously can always just Lysander, knock up a Shaman with Glade, while you can't do that with Regirock unless you have the Muscle Band. And Regirock needs 3 energies, which is a lot harder to get than just a single DC. Alright. Mia's going crazy right now. Or is that Wemba?
That was me, sorry.
No, you're good.
It's like Poker Jar. It's not once a game, you just play 2 at once.
Oh.
I've never seen a card like that, but apparently Poker Jar exists.
Yes,
I've only been
Poker
playing for
Jar
3 years,
is
so.
you play both at the same time. You search your deck for any one card, put in your hand.
Yeah, so that's what this is. It's just you play 2 at once to get 2 out of your discard. Otherwise, you just look at the top 3 of your deck.
So you're gonna play 4 of those. Watch out, guys.
It's a really good card.
Oh yeah, it's really good. Watch out. Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna answer this real quick. Should you go for Gallade in every game while playing Yveltal Zoroark? If you can get it out, get it out. Why would you not want to get the premonition going off? Like, you're like, I got a turn 1 Gallade, but I'm not playing against a Manectric. You're still gonna go for that Gallade. Like, yes, no? Alright.
Yeah, it seems straightforward. I can't see any drawbacks. the attacks
Yeah.
for DC, so you have another attacker on the field. You have premonition throughout the game, and it's a non-EX, so you're not going to get punished for being out there.
Has 150 health too, so it's not easy to just Lysander and pick off for a last prize of the game. Like, it's a really good card.
So if you have the option, please go for it. Never not go for it. I can't see anything where you're like, unless you're going to deck out. If you're going to Maxis and then deck out, then no, don't get out Glade. Besides that, you're good. Alright, let's see here. Thoughts on Houndoom Bunnelby?
I haven't seen it in action. Like, Bunnelby Mill is kind of a very strong deck. Most often I see Sableye, Bunnelby, Garb with Energy Denial. But Houndoom, I don't think it's a bad card. It mills too, and it's a big fat body. But I can't see the advantage. I think I'd have to play it, or like play against it to see the massive advantage. Just because, like, a big fat body is just, it's 2 prizes. And even if you kill it with a life dew, it's still a prize.
Yeah, I don't think Houndoom is going to be good enough in most areas. Like, I can see how it can give a lot of decks trouble that don't one-hit KO. But, like, in Standard right now, Night March is a number 2 deck. And as long as you don't misplay, Night March should be able to beat it pretty easily. Like, Tyrantrum should be able to beat it as long as you watch how much stuff you have left in your deck. Raichu Crobat can one-hit KO it. So, I think if you're just careful about how you play, you should be able to beat it most of the time with a lot of the decks in Standard right now. And then in Expanded, Seismitoad, Giratina, and Blastoise are really good. And I don't see how you beat either of
definitely.
those.
How much HP does Houndoom EX have?
170, I
180.
think? Oh, it's 180?
No, we gotta find out. This is a very,
Fair.
very trying to find out
I know-
myself.
I know the Mega has 210.
170.
170 is so
Oh,
bad.
that's even worse than I
Never
thought.
mind. I was
170,
gonna say-
2 retreat, no resistance.
I was gonna say you can Assault Vest a Houndoom so that way you don't get knocked out by Tyrantrums, but it does get knocked out now.
Doesn't Tyrantrum just go through
Tyrantrum
Assault
goes
Vest
through
anyhow?
Assault Vest.
Never mind. I don't. Well, my ideas are bamboozled. Look, I forget about this stuff. I don't play against Tyrantrum. I have never played against Tyrantrum. I've played it. I just forget about stuff.
I played against it, and it was against JP,
Well, yeah,
who
of course
won
you did.
BC Regionals. It was the first time I've ever seen the card, like, in action. I was like, fuck. It's a very, very scary deck.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, okay, my thoughts. It's kind of already been said. My phone just died, so that's great. Oh, it's restarting. Hey, thanks, Apple. But Houndoom, like Wimball said, it is a very Mia and Violet, Mia and Wimball both said this. It's a tanky Pokemon. Like, if they're not one-shotting you, you can super scoop them up, pick them up every turn, and reuse them. But if they are going to one-shot you, then you have the Bunnelby to attack. But is Bunnelby enough? I don't know. It did not beat Brandon Smiley in the finals of the cities, and both players are really, really good. Austin Baggs is a really good. I don't think he's a really good player. You think so, Wimball?
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah. So if he couldn't beat Smiley with Night March, and they're both really good players, it's good enough to make it to the finals. It just couldn't beat Night March. But I don't know what he played before Night March. So yeah.
I think it reminds me a lot of Wailord. We tested Wailord with Night March quite a bit before Worlds, and I think at Nationals they just wrecked every Night March player they played. But once we figured out how to actually play against Wailord, we were winning like 90% of our games against Wailord, and we knew it came down to playing one more energy in the deck, and then you'd beat Wailord. So I think it's Houndoom and Bunnelby put you on a bit more of a clock than Wailord, so it might not be that easy to play around. But I think it's the type of deck, if you test against, you can get pretty consistent results against it once you figure out how to actually play the matchup.
Alright. So, next question. I don't think Mia has an answer for this one, but what is the best Mewtwo variant deck? I'm guessing it's Mega Mewtwo, not just Mewtwo for X-Ball.
The only Mewtwo deck I played against in Expanded was the Mega Mewtwo that has like Super X Ball. I don't even know what it's called
Mega
or which
Mewtwo,
one it is.
why?
I think Mewtwo's a plain Pokemon. So that deck with Mega Turbo and stuff is really scary. Still beat it, but it's really scary. But like that's the only Mewtwo deck I've seen in Expanded whatsoever. I don't even know what the other one does, just because no one plays it. For
Unless you
Expanded.
watched Rogue Tuesday, then you saw me play it yesterday.
I haven't watched your stuff in like 5 or 6 days. I've been busy. I'm sorry.
I'm just messing with you.
I think in Expanded, you can't really play the new Mewtwo's just because Seismitoad Giratina really shuts down being able to actually attack with them ever. But as far as Standard goes, I really like the Yveltal Mega Mewtwo deck, where you kind of just use Mega Turbo as a dark patch and pretend that Mega Mewtwo is Yveltal EX. And that seems like a fairly good deck concept.
Yeah, I mean, that deck has been the Mega Mewtwo Y with Zork, with like Mega Turbos, has been performing well. I've seen it win. I don't know if it has won, but it's definitely like made it to the top tables.
Yeah, I've seen it. I think I've seen it be like the number 1 seed at a lot of tournaments, and then I don't know what happens in cut. I don't think it's actually doing too well once it gets to cut.
Yeah. But if I was going to pick one, it'd actually be the Bronzong variant, just because you can put splashable Pokemon in there. You can play like Heatran and maybe Aegislash to help out against Night March. That's what I would play. I'm not sure if it's the best, but if I was playing one tomorrow, it'd be that one.
As far as the results say, it says the Aromatisse version's the best, and then just like the Zoroark version after that, and the Mega Mewtwo EX Bronzong deck. If you actually scroll down to the very last row in the standard results, it's the very last deck listed.
Alright, if you don't know what... Also, if you haven't watched any of these videos, and you're still watching this right now, down below will be a link to the Charizard Lounge, where you can see all the results and everything, because Wamball is a beast and can keep up with stuff. But we're missing, like, 4 cities, or 5 cities. 4 or 5, Wamball. How many is it?
5.
You live in any of those cities. What are they, Wamball? Yellow man.
Hold on.
Name them off.
We have one more question.
We need Alameda, California, Cameron Park, California, Hadley, Massachusetts, York, Pennsylvania, and New Braunfels, Texas.
Alright, so we need Sosa Brothers. What are you doing? In Texas, Kettler, Max, any of y'all? What are y'all doing? Brad? I don't know about the other ones. Massachusetts? I don't know. Freaking Dylan Dreyer? What are you doing? I don't know where he lives at. Okay, so last question is thoughts on Speed Colorless Rayquaza. Come on, Wamball. Let's see how good it is.
I thought it was really good headed into the weekend. I don't even remember what metagame I was projecting out. Like, it's a really good deck. Like, if you look at what's been doing well in Expanded, you have Vespiquen, and once you playtest that matchup a lot, you'll beat Vespiquen most of the time. And then you have Blastoise, which you beat pretty well because you Hex Maniac them all the time. Night March is really easy because they try to use Joltik, and you just get out your Altaria. And then anytime they attack with Joltik, you just Sky Return with Shaman and put your Execute in the active spot. And they can have fun taking one prize there. Evital is usually pretty easy to beat. Toad Crobat's pretty easy to beat. Tyrantrum, you just Hex Maniac them a lot of the time. Domphin depends on how many Lysander you play. And then outside of that, I don't know how Darkrai Dusknoir does against it.
Alright,
Very well.
Alright.
But there's two big problem decks for it, and one of them is Sableye Garbodor. You only play 7 energy usually, so they eventually just get rid of all your energy, and you're only taking one prize at a time, so you lose. And then the real big problem for the deck is Seismitoad Giratina. So you have the problem that you play 7 energy, but then you're also being item locked. So then you can't use your Mega Turbo, so 7 energy are it. And you need some combination. Yeah, so you need a DCE at the least. And then you'll have the other problem that you only play 2 draw supporters in the deck. So as soon as they Quaking Punch, you're pretty much just flying without supporters the rest of the game. So, and that's the second best deck, and it's the best deck week 2. So it's it has a lot of good to 50-50 matchups, but has some major problem decks that are really hard to overcome. And I don't think Toad Giratina is going to go anywhere, because there's not too much skill in the deck, so it lets people do better than they normally would just by flipping a lot of heads. And
That's all you need.
And I don't know if you can really misplay too often with the deck, because it kind of just plays itself. You play down your hammers, lasers, and then say Quaking Punch.
Is that a confession?
I don't know. Look, if Wimbo wants to tell me how easy a deck is, ask him, and then why did he play Toad, Lysander's trump card, and like a billion draw supports? Thanks, Wimbo. You're a good friend.
Oh, I think I have the trophy from that city's sitting
Oh wait, Wimbo.
Right this is why you'd play a deck like
that.
that.
I've ever seen.
Alright, Mia. So, I want you to tell Wimbo how you're going to beat him with your Evital Darkrai Dusknoir deck.
Beat his colorless Rayquaza?
Yes, he said he could beat. Well, he didn't say. He said he didn't know, but he said he could beat Evital, which is kind of like your deck, like a branch off of it. So tell us how you're gonna beat him.
You do early game damage, and that early game damage ramps up the rest of the game. So you have Oblivion Wing. I've attacked with Keldeo before if I started with it, if I needed, when I'm dead drawing. The new Evital I mentioned, the Break one, so good against that deck because their bench is all EXs, and you just 60-60, and they can't really rush in and retreat stuff, so you can Lysander stall things because they're going to have to waste a DCE to retreat something, and if you bring up a Hoopa, they're going to have to still rush in with their Keldeo, DCE it, and manually retreat it because Floatstone's not going to work. And if they Hex Maniac, I guess whatever, but like I've never had too much issue against that deck, especially with just Dusknoir controlling all the damage. I've also played Parallel City against it, and good luck. and then to top it all off, promo Jirachi. You just promo Jirachi, and anytime that they, start building up a second attacker or try to Lysander around it or whatever, you just get rid of their energy, and if they're trying to stall, you just hit whatever they're stalling with, and you can move that damage later. So, a lot of times they'll stall with a Hoopa or, whatever, and you can just swing at it, and that damage is going to stay in play. They're either going to kill your Dusknoir and not kill your attacker, which then you can just retaliate and knock it out, or they're going to Hex Maniac, and the damage will still be there next turn. So you just have to place it and be smart about it and everything. But very good deck. Not hard to beat.
You agree, Wimble?
Yeah, I think one big issue you'd have is as soon as they can Sinister Hand, they're just going to be like almost ending the game. Because you have to play like 3 or 4 Shamans on your bench just to get everything
Yep.
set up. So
You don't even
just,
kill Rayquaza.
so they just need 330 damage and they win the game. And that's not that much damage.
Nope. Like, that's 2 Baby Yveltal attacks and then a Night Spear or something with Dark Patch and everything. I don't think I rarely ever kill a Rayquaza in that matchup. It's mostly all the Shaman and sometimes maybe like the Keldeo just to piss them off, but pretty much always the Shaman.
Alright, so my 2 cents, we know that Xander Bandit is the one who basically played Colors Rayquaza, made top 4, and made everybody like, oh my goodness, Colors Rayquaza a good deck. You also have to remember that Xander did not play a Seismitoad deck. Never. He didn't play against Seismitoad deck, and that's why he made top 4. I'm not saying...
I
I'm
also
not
have
saying,
Seismitoad.
Oh yeah, and also before we move on, I want to give a shout out to Xander Bennett for helping me with my Mega Rayquaza list from this past weekend.
What a buddy.
So yeah. So just remember that Xander did not play a Seismitoad player, which is why he made top 4. Xander even said it himself in the interview. The reason why he made top 4 because he did not play against Seismitoad, and this is Cities, and there's going to be at least 2 Seismitoad Giratina players at your expanded cities. I will put money that there will be 2 Seismitoad Giratina players or more at your cities.
Well, actually, Toad Giratina actually isn't too hard to beat if you
Don't lie
build
to
the
me.
deck right.
Don't you lie to me, Wimble.
Well, here's how you
You
beat
just said
it.
you play 2 supporter cards to draw.
Well, yeah, with the way I had it built, I lost. But if you play Bronzong or Electric in it, then you can get past all their hammers and just Dynamo or Metal Links onto your Mega
I don't think
Rays. And
that's the speed version, though.
oh,
He
there's
said
some.
He spent speed colors Rayquaza. Not a speed list.
Well, I had some.
Bronzong's not speedy at all.
That's a whole different deck. That's Metal Mewtwo, and that will beat Seismitoad Giratina because that's my baby.
Well, I tested a bit with Bronzong in the speed version, and it's pretty good. I thought I'd be playing against Vespiquen and Night March and Evital most of the day, and the Evital didn't show up, and I think people played Toad Giratina where I thought Evital would be. But you can actually fit in 2-2 Bronzong fairly easily if you want. Just take out your Altaria, and I played like Bunnelby and Jirachi, so there's your 4 spots to fit in a 2-2 Bronzong.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, Wimble. Alright, so last question is going to be, are you going to any cities this week?
Yeah, I'll be going to 2, I think. I'll probably be beating Squeaky in top 4 again for the
Wow.
2nd straight year.
Jealous.
We'll see about that.
I'll be going to 2 myself. No promises. Maybe I'll do well. Maybe I'll be bad. Who knows? But I already know my deck.
Well, I would hope so, Mia.
I just may change a few cards. It's
Hey,
pretty
Wimble,
much
what are
it.
you playing this weekend?
It's gonna be a surprise. It's gonna be spooky.
Alright, well, I'll only be at 1 cities. Question is, what cities will I be at, Wimble? Will I be
Probably
at,
Sunday.
I'll be at the Saturday one or the Sunday one. Who knows? Find out this weekend. But Squeaky makes a return to city, to Missouri. Whoop whoop. Alright. Well, do y'all guys have anything else to say before we head out?
Thank you for having me, and thank you for, on behalf of the whole community, for hosting all these videos and helping everyone out.
Thank you for being here, Mia.
To both of you, of course.
King Webbolt, I'm holding you right now.
I guess I'll just
Oh wait,
say
that's Mia. I got confused.
I'll just say see people next week. Good luck at your cities. Good luck to me. Hopefully I win one this weekend. Good luck to Squeaky. Maybe he can win the other one. That'd be okay.
That'd be cool.
Yep. Just don't want to get. I mean, I'm fine with second place, but I would love to get first place.
So do I have to play Toad Garbodor and just hammer you again?
Well, I'm fine with that as long as you don't license a trump card 3 times in one game.
Only 3? What is this, like a slow deck?
I think that's all. I think I scooped by then.
I don't remember you scooping. I think we
Oh.
took like 40 minutes for the first game.
I don't know. It took. I don't know if I scooped or it took forever. I don't know. Look, you never give up hope. I never give up hope. We never scoop, fam. We just go for it. We just YOLO. We win. We win. If we lose game 1, well, we punch our opponent in the face and hopefully he doesn't wake up.
Alright, there you go.
There you
That's
go.
what I'm doing wrong.
Nice words. Alright, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this. It is an hour and 45 right now into the video. Hopefully it's... I know it's too long. Hopefully you had some popcorn or something. And, I know I'm hungry. Because I haven't ate dinner yet. And so hopefully the viewers are hungry, so now you can go eat dinner. You're watching this while driving, which a lot of people do. A lot of people send me Snapchats of them watching videos while they're driving.
Who owns 2 smartphones?
No. They watch it on their car. They
What?
have like yep, I promise. It's been sent to me about 7, 8
So they're in their driving seat and they're Snapchatting, watching a video?
Yes, sometimes it's
Jesus
just the
Christ.
audio, and sometimes it's an actual video.
Oh my god.
So
I'm scared to go outside now.
it's perfect because you can just listen to this while driving. Maybe you got to drive an hour and 40 to your cities, and this could be perfect thing to listen to. 'Cause, I mean, you won't see our beautiful faces. But whatever. Alright, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Watch out for week 4. Next week, we'll find another random guest. Actually, Wamball picks this guest this week. Mia doesn't know that. So, Wamball said, have Mia on here. And I said, alright, we'll do that because she's already won. I don't know. Did you win the cities, Mia?
Yeah, I won 1, topped 8, and top 4 and scrubbed out the rest.
So, obviously, Mia knows what she talks about when she talks about expanded. Unlike Wamball, who hasn't won one yet and just got top 4. And that's it.
You haven't won a cities, the
Yeah, what a
pinnacle of skill?
What a scrub.
Maybe
Okay.
this week.
Alright, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Alrighty. Bye.
Take care.